In the survey, some of you indicated that your stores do not run the way they should, that your store operations perhaps aren't as tight as they could be. In fact, some of you use the word chaotic. And this nugget, this is the single most important thing that you can do to get those store operations tightened up, to get your store to run the way you'd like it to run. If your store does not run the way you'd like it to run, the single place to start is to have both an opening and closing checklist. Make sure that it's filled out every night, but most importantly, make sure that the jobs that are on the list get done. What you're doing is you're bringing your store back to standard, back to perfect every single day. Because what happens, as you know, is things slowly fall apart. In manufacturing, they call it creep, Things get worse over time. And when you have an opening and closing checklist, you're bringing it back to perfect every single day. You're managing your store operations. And it's such a huge place to start. Here are some examples of things that might be on an opening and closing checklist. On an opening checklist, typically, there's stuff to do on the floor. It's bring the store back to standard with things like vacuuming the floor, washing the windows, going outside and sweeping the sidewalks, or if you live where it's cold like we do, shoveling the snow. There's also counting down the bank, getting the store open, things like that. And then in the closing checklist, typically what people do is straighten things out. Make sure the displays are correct. Go back downstairs, make sure that there's all the correct merchandise is on the floor. If there's any pegs or any shelves, straighten them out. And then there's also a whole paperwork dynamic. Counting down the bank, doing things like that. There are lots and lots of forms. I'm a huge believer in having forms and systems and procedures in place. But I can tell you, if you want one place to start, if you really want that one nugget, I would recommend putting an opening and closing checklist into place. As a guy who ran an incredibly chaotic store for many, many years, I can tell you unequivocally that this is the place to start, because when we put opening and closing checklists into place in our store, it started to run and look and feel a lot better.